Hello,
Awesome.
everyone.
Hello. I mean, I guess you're not talking to me.
Yeah, we're playing around with the Bad God again until we find another cool multiplayer game that we can play together while
Dungeon
talking.
multiplayer game.
Yeah.
So, who should say what we are talking about?
We're talking about a really important topic that no one wants to deal with because it's too hard. Dun dun dun
Yep,
dun!
and
Dun.
we're professionals. So we're going to be talking about genre today, but first I'm going to try to find my wizardly friend. Are you?
Okay, so have you started already?
Yeah, I'm in the server. I'm in the thingy thing.
Okay, in the same server as always.
Yes.
Ah, my gosh. Okay, I got out of the crowd. Hey, Joe Morgan.
Whoa, hello. Follow me, bruh. Bre? That's how
I
they say it in Serbia. I know because I'm studying Serbian. Can we go to Cyclops?
Let's go to Cyclops.
Hell yes. Try
My
not to die this time.
Lord Wizard as Dapfaf.
As the Pfaff. Okay, as the Pfaff, what do you have to say about genre?
They're bullshit. Like, the current system of genres is really shitty. Uh,
Okay. How so? Please elaborate this claim, or I will stab you.
no, please don't stab me. Well,
Come here, motherfucker. Stabby, stabby.
yeah,
Dare you say that?
well, the thing is, genres. If you compare like literary genres to video game genres, you'll notice quite a stark difference. Even movie genres, you'll notice quite a stark difference in that like literary genres talk about emotional content in a video game. Did you cross the river? Where are you? I already lost you. Oh my gosh. Joe?
What was that? The internet just like hiccuped so hard.
Oh gosh. That was scary.
But I don't know whose internet hiccuped so.
To me, it's I don't know. It just restarted for me as well. So I think it was a server shutdown.
That's really scary.
I'm by the
Anyway, so tell
caves.
me, tell me about literature genre.
Well, literary genres are like really cool and awesome because they allow for a lot of creative freedom, and they're not when you talk about literary genres, they're not linked to the format you're gonna use, just emotional content. So when you're talking about horror in literature, you're not expecting a specific method of getting the horror out of you. You're just expecting that it's gonna be scary, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of the opposite in video games. Like genres in video games, they inform what kind of form this game is gonna have, and not necessarily the emotional content it's gonna have. So it's like
Okay.
Metroidvania. And I really like dislike that term because of reasons, but the main reason is because it doesn't really express if it's gonna make you cry or make you laugh or make you jump for joy. It's
I would
just
like to see. I would like to see the Metroidvania that makes you.
jump for joy.
Yeah. Where are you at, by the way?
I'm by the caves.
Come enter Cyclops.
Okay, so where are you, Joe? So
I'm prowling the beach looking for you.
okay, I'm by the ton of scorpions and pirates.
I saw some scorpions a moment ago. Um. So the thing that I think about genre is that perhaps it's bullshit, but also that people need access to information. So
Hmm.
you can't kind of just like throw away genre
Well,
because it's freaking important. Like people want to know what exactly it is that they're going to be doing. Like in literature, people feel very strongly that they need to know what sort of emotional content they're going to get out of a book. Whereas in a game, people feel strongly they need to know what mechanically it is that they're going to be doing, and so the genre conventions.
well, well. There's a simple answer to that, and and it's something that theater and literature
And
has
it's the
had.
video games suck. Bye. Anyway, theater.
Anyway, theater and literature has had for a very long time, which is something that allows you to separate that that format kind of function, like description from genres, from describing genres, and it's wait a minute, my window got distorted. I hope that's not in the capture. And it's style. It's like separating format and genre, and giving names to the formats individually from genre. And it's something.
How does that work? Because that's like, give me an example from Le Theater.
The theater. For example, there's like Greek. A lot of people talk about Greek theater. A lot of people talk about Bonruku, which is Japanese puppet theater. And there's a lot of different kinds of theater, and they come in lots of different shapes. Sometimes they don't even have a stage. Sometimes they do have a stage, and it's something that people who watched theatrical performances also felt really strongly about, that they should know these things. But that hasn't stopped them from like saying, "Oh, hey, this game is a comedy." Not game, but like this performance is a comedy, or this performance is a tragedy. It just informs them like, "Oh, this is a tragedy done in the Greek
in this style."
Yeah.
In this style of theater. Okay, yeah, that's really interesting, and I cannot believe. I feel like a little bit ashamed of myself. Yeah, that sounds like it would really. Video games. Why do you think people don't? Why do you think we haven't done that already?
Because people are afraid to change things.
Wait, why? I mean, but why are they afraid?
I don't know.
Why don't indie developers have nothing to lose? Start saying like, this is a something. This is a whatever in the form of. I mean, I don't know how you would say it, like.
Well, the main reason.
That. Why don't they start using different genre?
I mean, besides being afraid, which is like the first answer that got out of my mouth, and probably not the best answer. The actual answer, I think, is because people don't like comparing video games to other things because of an identity crisis. A lot of times, like I see like a lot of favoritism, like video games being like, "Oh man, video games are the only people who can do, is the only medium that can do this," or "Video games are the only medium that can do that," and very often it's not true.
I mean, although legitimately video games are the only, plenty of things.
Yeah, but like it doesn't make them special, and it's like it's not like video games can avoid like literary theory, because nothing can avoid literary theory. You know?
Postmodernists infect everything. Oh man, are there any postmodernist video games? That would be hilarious.
That would be really
and
cool.
also terrifying. God, man, what would a postmodernist video game even be? It's just like a blank screen, and you have a mouse, and you can just move the mouse wherever you want.
Yeah, so that's why.
They're like, look, we deconstructed this thing until it sucked. Good job, postmodernist. You did it.
It would be like, this is my new MMO, and it's only a button that you press repeatedly.
Oh my god, it's Cow Clicker. Cow Clicker is a postmodernist video game.
Yeah.
Oh my god, they exist. It's just you've never heard of them. They look so bad.
Anyway, so that's why we should bring that up. It's like, if I ever make a video game, I'm gonna be like the one that's gonna be like, this game isn't a Metroidvania. It's a tragedy RPG.
Oh shit, son.
Or
Tragedy.
I don't know. I'm gonna be that guy. That's like, I invent an entirely new terminology just because I want to.
Just because you want to describe your game in a way that other people haven't.
Yeah.
Goddamn hipster.
Not just because of that, but because I want to like maybe promote a change in the way people discuss video games. Because when I see people talking about video games, they rarely are talking about like the emotional content of the video game or like how the game makes them feel in order to like create an analysis of the game. They're only like, oh man, this game is so fun. This game has like this weird mechanic in which you do a somersault if you press A. Yeah, that's my review. 10 out of 10. Instead of like talking about, I don't know, how the mechanics are the mechanics actually communicating something, or you know, a lot of people
Yeah,
separate story from mechanics quite a lot, and that's something that annoys me so much. Which is why I'm kind of like I'm really bitter towards games with lots of cutscenes, even though I like games with cutscenes. Just because they kind of promote the separations, like the story is only in the cutscenes, you know, and not anywhere
yeah.
else.
I mean, those can be good games though. Like the Last of Us is majestic, and by majestic I mean, so soul-rendingly tragic that I, I, it's fucking good. Play it.
Yeah. So yeah, and
But
they
it
are,
it shows kind of the limits of that style of that's like as good as it gets, or probably will ever get.
and like cutscene
Yeah.
video games
To
with
be fair though, The
cutscenes.
Last of Us is pretty fucking good.
Yeah, and don't mean to say that it's not good, even though I said it in the last episode of Dungeon and Chill. Uh, but I was only trying to create.
I don't mean to say it, even though I did.
And like this is not part of my argument right now, because I like plenty of games with cutscenes. I like Okami very much. I like Bayonetta a lot,
God,
and
you're such a games
those.
hipster.
um, yeah, and I do actually like The Last of Us. The last episode was a joke. Just ignore the fact that I said that The Last of Us was a bad game, because it's not. Um. Anyway, I would just like Undertale is a really great example of a game that uses game mechanics to communicate, and uses
Yeah,
tons of like metaphors through mechanics and stuff, which
I
is,
know. I have been. Hopefully, the person watching this is aware. I have been. I know about this thing.
yeah. So I want to see more games like that, and the only way to see more games like that is to create a demand for it, right? And in order to create a demand for it, people need to be aware of that difference between format and genre, I think.
Yeah. I mean, another thing that I think that video games struggle with, that like the theater and stuff doesn't, is that there's not like a lot more people
Yeah,
play video games don't really care about um video games. They just want to like be entertained for a little while.
yeah.
Entertained and or distracted.
It's like the stereotypical king. It's like with the jester. It's like entertain me, and while the jester's saying like really sly comedy and being really good at it, and the king doesn't really care. He just thinks it's kind of funny that he's being silly.
Yeah. Yep, true. True facts of truth.
This is the current. This is kind of like the mentality I see with a lot of people, and even like a lot of famous YouTubers, which frustrates me a little bit. But
Yeah. Um
but yeah, I really want to see wholesome games about people working together.
what? It's so random.
Yeah,
And
which,
you think that would be improved by better genre awareness?
yeah, people will be like, oh, so because there's like a lack of that, like a sore lack of that kind of game, and I believe that
I mean,
food,
the thing is, I feel like there's a sore lack of games that are. Look at like the majority of the market. It's all about like how fun.
yeah,
And another thing that's really really weird is uh and it's a thing that I'm frustrated. So I'm listening to game design. Or
listening.
actually, it's not a It is not a podcast. It is actually an MIT class bothered to record, which is nice. Thank you, random person at MIT. But anyway, it's really frustrating to me because fun is not a thing that you should be concerned about. Not necessarily because it's like for a lot of games, whether or not it's fun is the main thing, but because it's really very, very, very difficult to design a game specifically to be fun. You have to design for something else and hope that once you have designed that thing very, very well, you'll have designed a fun game, like by accident almost.
Yeah,
And I think that is a thing to understand. It's like the measure of, is this game good? Is it? And like, I think Papers, Please is a very good game. It's not fun. It's very unfun.
yeah, but
Sorry, I rambled a tiny bit. I don't know how this has anything to do with genre, but I feel like it does.
it does. It does a lot. It's one of those like I've seen people talk about. Oh, games are made for fun because games are entertainment, but so are movies, so is theater, so is art.
Yeah.
So I mean, that that argument does not hold water. It's like a cup with so many holes. It's basically a fountain.
It doesn't hold water. It's a thing that doesn't hold water. Nice metaphors.
It's like
Let's see if we can do a better thing. It doesn't hold water. It's like stick.
It doesn't hold water. It's like your mom's vagina.
Oh, kind of nasty. Okay.
This was supposed to be a wholesome discussion about video games and art. That's me.
And now it's a wholesome discussion of your vagina.
Oh my gosh. Well.
Okay. So genre then.
Genres. So yeah, it's a really simple way to fix it. It's so simple. Just steal every genre from literature. That's what movies did.
Yeah.
It's just like
I mean, I think we got some extras, didn't we? There are genres from literature, right?
yeah,
This is the thing.
like for example, Bloodborne, they call it an action RPG, right? You could call it like an RPG, like a cosmic horror RPG. It's true, and it describes the mechanical aspect of Bloodborne, and it also describes like the emotional content of Bloodborne, and I think that's important.
Yeah. I think part of the issue is that games more than other media have to make a shitload of money because games are, it's more expensive to build a game in general than it is to write a book, because like only one person has to write the book. And so I think this kind of is a part of that thing you said before. They really don't want to lose money. And so if you're building a game and then you describe what the game is about, like in terms of genre, and you describe it with a genre term that has video games, maybe people will just not buy your game. It will certainly hurt sales to some, and that's really scary for the people who make games, and unfortunately those in charge.
Yeah, I think that's why like mainstream media needs to focus itself on more affordable projects and less like the next $500 million hit,
Yeah.
Because that's a huge problem. If you look at cartoons on Cartoon Network, for example, they're not nearly as expensive as creating a full feature film, and also TV series and stuff like that. They manage to have like a lot of experimentation within the medium of sequential art or movies. If you haven't read Scott McCloud's.
So I would just like to point out that when Francisco says sequential art, what he means is comics, and also, side note, he is pretentious. But that's okay, because pretentious is just another word. I don't know. Pretentious is not that much of an insult.
Yeah.
It's like you like to think about things seriously.
I think what pretentious is actually supposed to mean you're pretending to be smart, and that's where the word pretend from pretentious comes from.
Oh, that's actually really good.
So when somebody's being pretentious, it kind of means that like they're being fake smart, like using complicated words to pretend they're actually smart.
That's cool. Like genre is a comp. You should use it more because okay. So the reason actually that I wanted so badly to talk about genre was I think in the context of writing books or movies, it's actually really important to understand what genre you're presenting yourself as. So like for example, because then you can play around with an audience's expectations, right?
Yeah,
And that's kind of really important. Because some people, expectation versus reality and an experience of art is like the whole point of. And so, for example, Adam Coble in his Let's Plays, which you should watch if you're not, um, he talks about how video games don't do things on accident. Everything a game does is on purpose, which is a thing that my literature teacher used to say about books. And I didn't believe her when she said it, but for some reason I believe. Um, uh, shit, what was I saying? Oh, but he opens up his Let's Play by saying that a game is communicating on purpose with everything that it does. So he'll look at like a title screen and tell you how the game is imparting information, essential information, before you start playing via the title screen. I just think that is super interesting. And
yeah,
watch
that's
his
really
Let's Play
cool.
to understand.
Um,
So I think that it's important. It's really important to understand genre so that you can impart expectations and then kind of use those expectations to do whatever the hell it is you're trying to do.
you know, a really great title screen I can pull out of my head right now. Uh,
Please don't pull it out of your head. That sounds painful.
yeah, just like figuratively pull it out of my head. Um, a really great title screen is FNAF, the FNAF title screen, I think,
Okay.
because it's kind of it's like it kind of presents you a little bit of what to expect about the game, like weird robots that like dressed up as like animals, check, and weird glitchy sounds with scary noises, check, and there you go. That's like a majority of the game in the title screen.
But I think it's also important a game does not impart about its.
Yeah, but like I think that's interesting, right? I don't know.
Yeah. I think well-designed title screens. Um, it's a good sign that you're about to play a.
And I think the title screens are becoming the modern game cover because we're moving more into downloadable media. So title screens are becoming more indicative of like taking the place of a book cover or like a DVD cover, right?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So I think
I
that's a
that is
thing.
not a thing that I had thought about before. Okay, let us practice our knowledge of this game. I mean, of because we're so good at art. What is Realm of the Mad God? What genre is it? First game that we're playing.
I never got into it enough. I'm guessing it's fantasy because I'm getting fantasy vibes from it because of the like
Okay,
rabbits.
so in current genre conventions, I think it would be called also other stuff super descriptive. So yeah, I would call it fantasy because I'm getting shot with arrows and not.
Yeah,
Although that's a really bad reason to call it.
yeah. I know that fantasy isn't restricted to gnomes and elves, but like in video games, that's so much of fantasy games. it kind of becomes the expectation of being gnomes and elves. That's a fantasy game.
Yeah. I like genre mixing. So one thing that I think that I have learned about fantasy that is really in this book I'm reading, which you should read too. Let me find the title of it.
I can also put it in
It
the.
is called Story. It is by a man named Robert McKee. It is about screenwriting. Read it if you're interested in writing screens.
Oh, by the way, I can put the link to the Amazon page. We're not being endorsed, by the way, but I can put the link to the
Yeah,
Amazon page if you guys are
I wish
interested.
we were being endorsed. That would be but no, we're not being endorsed. Anyway, you should read this book if you're interested in genre conventions. It's the reason that we're having this conversation, because in it he said that it's important for the writer to understand convention, so that because that's kind of the point of art, at least you. And in it he says that actually fantasy is the most realistic genre in some ways, because an audience will only accept a certain amount of like distance from reality, and fantasy spends all of that like allowance of suspension of disbelief in the opening moments when they establish like, okay, there's like magic and hobbits and giant spiders and shit. And so once they've already spent all of the audience's disbelief, and so now that they've already done that, they have to be very, very true to real life. Like, you can't have plot points be gigantic coincidence. Whereas in an action movie where they haven't spent the audience's for disbelief, they're allowed to have gigantic coincidence, because the audience is waiting for some way in which this story is different from real life. And yes, I think that's really interesting. That
Yeah,
science fiction as well.
that makes
God,
me
science fiction is so cool.
that makes me feel a little bit better about liking fantasy a lot.
Yes, you like fantasy because you're so grounded in reality.
Awesome.
Yeah, fantasy, bruh. Where are you, by the way? Because I just found a really thing, and so if you want it, you can have.
Nah, I'm okay. I'll just keep on dying like usual.
Well, I think there's a friends list somewhere.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, there is. We'll do that later outside of recording.
Not on stream.
Yeah, I think doing it on screen might be a bad idea.
I would wake up tomorrow morning with like a million. No, I would wake up tomorrow with anyway. Silence. You're not allowed to have silence.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Fill the viewer's mind.
So, write down in the comments, genre styles.
Your favorite color. Write your favorite color down in the.
I was gonna say genre, like your favorite genre, and like.
Write down your favorite color and then like 10 lines and then your favorite genre, and see if we can guess your favorite genre
From your favorite color.
Boom. Yeah.
We're gonna totally do a follow up on that next video. We promise. If anybody,
Totally.
yeah. If we actually do get any comments,
it'd be cool to get comments. So how do you think genre should? Kind of already answered this question, but answer it again.
The genres, you know, get the literary genre, the emotional genre, and and follow it up with the format. So like, if you're making a Metroidvania kind of game, right, with with those kinds of conventions, with that is kind of scary, and you intend to get people shitting their pants using those game mechanics and conventions.
A noble goal indeed.
You would call it a horror Metroidvania, right?
So you would subdivide the. Okay, so here is my slight issue with that, and you can address this how you will.
Yeah.
You're subdividing the so you're basically giving the genre two tags, one for the emotional content mechanics, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you are one of the people who that mechanics and emotional content and like theme and stuff need to be unified. So doesn't that contradict? Isn't that a contradiction?
Well, not really, and I'll explain why. Because emotional content can be applied to. Uh, you can use any set of mechanics to create any sort of emotional response in theory. It's just how you use it, and that's the difference. I'm not saying that I'm not trying to separate the mechanics from the story. I'm trying to imply that like just the mechanics by themselves, they're not. If you like, if you like, just look at them and like how they work, you're not gonna expect the same kind of game being made with the same rules. You know? So like
Okay.
Bloodborne and Dark Souls, for example, they're very similar games. They have very similar mechanics. Actually, Bloodborne is more mechanically similar to Demon Souls, which just further confusing the
I
topic.
I will pretend that I know.
Well, okay, so Bloodborne and Demon Souls have very different emotional content, even though they have similar game mechanics. And that's what I mean. That's where I would like want to say like Bloodborne is people call these types of games Souls-esque now. Uh, I'm pretty sure there's a better name for that.
Souls-esque.
Yeah.
I believe the better name for that is fucking hard, because I think that's what people are referring.
Because Souls-esque became so popular and so unifying in terms of genre, in terms of like style, that a lot of people refer to other games that were made before Dark Souls that and begin comparing it to Dark Souls. So, and that's why Souls-esque is a good. I would say it's a good term, but it's not really. Anyway,
Anyway,
um, I got off track. I already totally forgot what I was
so
going with that.
that is fine because I am capable of split attention. JK, I'm not. Um, So would you say that a game you imply you uh, deep breaths, deep breaths. You said earlier that a game basically needs a different genre to address its mechanics and also to address its emotional content. Would you say it also needs one for aesthetics? Should you have a different like genre designation thing that makes up a game?
Oh, so like the game is post contemporanean, like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Like this game is cubist.
Cubist. Not necessarily, but something like something to describe each layer of the game, like the way the game is in terms of narrative, the way the aesthetic, and the way the game is in terms of mechanics.
Well, I wouldn't say that there's the reason I wouldn't do that is because I don't believe that those things are 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 separate. Because like there's a really cool YouTuber. He goes by the name Digibro. You should watch him.
Digibra,
If you're
Digibra.
remotely interested in anime or in movies in general, he is a really cool YouTuber who will give you lots of things to talk about
That's good. I
and
like
think
talking about
about.
things. You may have noticed.
And he will give you lots of things to think about the medium of animation and stuff in general about movies, and sometimes games. He sometimes makes videos about games, and he addressed the issue that a lot of people who review anime, they review like, oh, are the characters good? Is the story good? But like, isn't the story made up of characters talking to each other and interacting with each other? You know,
Wrecked, son. Wrecked.
that's kind of like
Yeah, that's true.
that's what he talked about, and he said that that's not a good way of reviewing movies and anime or anything for that matter, because these standards don't make sense. So like, if we were to divide it like a game by aesthetic, and then like characters, and then narrative, and then visuals, and it's like, I think that defeats the point of trying to make a new genre system. It's only gonna make
Yeah.
it worse.
Yeah, and the other thing is that genres, I guess that's a genre is necessarily supposed to simplifying the movie or book or game or whatever in a way that makes sense. I guess if you had enough like different types of genre, like a genre description for the whatever, eventually you're not even talking about.
I'm sorry, your audio cut off. Could you repeat? Like, you're not even talking about what?
You're not even talking about genre.
Genre. Okay.
And yeah. So why is it that you think that you should have 2 genre descriptions, but not, for example, 3 or 4,000?
Because one is for format, right? And that's for like physical descriptions, like uh, you know like it's like the difference between the stage you're playing on and what you're actually doing on top of the stage.
McGird, I love this metaphor.
Yeah, so that's why I love theater. Theater actually is very informative when it comes to games. That's why I believe that storytelling in games, are kind of like it kind of hinges on roleplay. But that's another video for another day.
Yeah.
So just keep with that in mind if you're watching this video. We're gonna make a video about that someday.
We're gonna make a video about everything one day.
So yeah, so that's why I'm thinking about that, and that's why I think like separating format from genre is a really good idea, because it's like, oh, it's like describing genres and whether a play has puppets or not. This doesn't really say are the puppets gonna die at the end? What's gonna happen? You know?
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, it's dumb. I'm sorry. I hate saying the word dumb. We probably shouldn't say that, but then again, we say a lot of swear words here. Um,
You're
it,
damn right we do.
it's not very descriptive and not very good. So that's why I defend this notion. It's the difference between what kind of stage you're playing on and what you're actually doing on top of the stage.
Okay, so let me blow your fucking mind. Why do we even need genres?
That's actually a really good question. Another really good channel, I'll put all the links in the description, I swear. We need to write a list eventually. Another really good channel is the Idea channel. It's
Oh
fairly
fuck yeah,
popular.
they are.
It's fairly popular, so I'm guessing if you're watching us, you're probably already went past the Idea channel. He actually made a video about that in regards to music. It's like, does music really benefit from having genres at all? And I don't remember specifically what he said at all, but like, when I can't really remember what he said. But watch the video; it's really good. It's probably gonna have a really good. It's probably gonna give you a lot more to say about whether we need genres or not than I will right now. But I do think that genres are useful in the sense that it gives you like a way to describe a game without having to describe a piece of media without having to spoil what's in it or what happens in
Yeah,
it.
that's true. I guess tragedy does not necessarily imply that people die at the end.
Yeah. So that's one thing. Like you have an idea of what you're gonna get, but you know, are we just better off going blind and not knowing
I mean, maybe it's better to just say, "Hey, I'm not going to say anything about this movie."
until you play it, until you watch it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. I guess so. But like, what if somebody is like really resistant to watching the movie? I guess they're not gonna watch the movie anyway. From my experience trying to get people to play games, I'm guessing they're not gonna play the game anyways. It's just like it's too hard to get people to play the game unless they legitimately are interested in playing a game in the game you're talking about. Even if the game is amazing, it's gonna blow your mind and you're nuts together. Um, it's not
Even
or
if it's going to explode your fucking face off,
yeah, I figuratively, of course.
it
I
will
don't.
figuratively explode your.
Yeah, you're gonna feel as though your face has been exploded.
That's my favorite, feeling like my face exploded.
Yeah, yeah, but that's like that's like the most I have to say about genres and formats and things in video games. But I really do feel that how we classify video games now, right now, is a roadblock. Oh, and then another thing, we need to have a distinction between competitive games and single player games when giving away awards. Please, for the mother of God.
For the Mother of God?
Uh,
Doesn't the Mother of God play Black Ops?
like this. Anyway, this distinction needs to happen. It just has to happen. It's just so necessary. I'm still so bitter over Rocket League having won an award over Undertale.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Um,
They're like categorically not even.
yeah, it's like they're indie, and that's what Rocket League won for. But like, even in the indie space, there are plenty of multiplayer indie games. You could just have like, oh, best competitive indie game versus best single player indie game. You know, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. I think we have said pretty much everything we had to say.
Yeah. I think that the summary here is that's bullshit. That's bullshit. I actually have one more question.
Yeah.
How specifically, how exactly is genre a roadblock to creative development in?
Genre creates expectations. A genre a roadblock.
Mm-hmm.
So like the
Yeah.
way we currently discuss about them. Well,
Mm-hmm.
it's important we at least revise the system we use to classify games because genres are we use to create expectations and we need to set like what are priorities, what are the kinds of expectations we we want people to talk about in video games and want people to talk about like as professionals, you know, because even professionals are making that mistake. I don't see anybody in the space of YouTube addressing that issue, at least not that I have watched, and they spend a lot of time on YouTube.
Okay.
um so it's important because it's the language we use to discuss games.
Yeah, bad terminology is the enemy. I know a quote. I know a quote for this. It wasn't about video games, but
It's good. It's good. Video games need to be treated as though they're special babies who cannot be compared to any other form of media.
totally, absolutely.
So, are you looking? Are you looking it up?
That was said by Warren Buffett. In case anybody, I think. Okay, are you ready to go? I feel like we need some.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Okay, but we gotta like end on some.
Reality is an illusion.
What you make it. A really satisfying ending. Work
Yeah.
on it. We'll get there. Okay, well, I don't. I feel like this discussion is not
It's never gonna be over.
developed. That's true, but we need genres. It's like a necessary evil. You
Yeah.
know, people want to know something about the thing that they're about. Genre is a way for them to do investing a whole lot of energy. So you can't just like get rid of them. What do we
Yeah.
do?
If like absolutely despise the sound of progressive jazz, um, and end up, how am I gonna find out how to avoid progressive jazz altogether if I wanted
Yeah,
to?
just get this jazz out my life. Yeah, that's true.
I'll
But
do.
the other thing is that without genres, you have to figure out why do I. You can't just say I hate progressive jazz because it is progressive jazz. You have to figure out what exactly it is that you hate jazz.
I
So
think
tell me,
that
Francisco, why do you hate jazz? Do you like?
I actually like progressive jazz. I was just making an example, but I believe that is up to the individual, and the individual is the person who needs to make the choice of whether they should be willingly keep their minds open to experience a new media. Doesn't matter like aside from, doesn't matter what kind of genre it is or not. But you know, it's up to you. It is up to you, fellow
Fucking genres.
watchers.
It's like I don't want to have to know about them, but it's like if you want to be able, if you're of manipulating expectations, you kind of have to, which is awful. It's horrible because you have to learn about this thing. It's like it's based in objectivity, which makes it a to learn about because there's nothing that can be definitively said about can't be deconstructed. Like everything that can be said about genre can be deconstructed, and that's horrible because it's like you could just destroy this easily, and yet you still have to.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's less about. In my opinion, it's less about what and more about the how. You know. So if
What do you?
a horror game can have like horror game characteristics and be perfectly like not scary, perfectly
Okay,
like a breeze to play through, no scares, no tension, and you can still have like wobbly controls and puzzles, and, like all the characteristics of
I
like
like the I like the way you're like, ooh, puzzles.
yeah. That's how if I'm correct, that's how like Penumbra and Amnesia works. You have to solve puzzles under pressure of being killed.
Under pressure,
Yeah,
don't fucking die.
but
It's a
there's
puzzle.
there's like that's not the definitive way to get someone to get like someone to be scared.
Yeah,
So
puzzles plus pressure equals shitty pants. I
there's
bet that's like written on a board somewhere in Asia, the Dark Descent headquarters.
mhm. I think genres are okay as long as you know that they're not set in stone.
Yeah. Genres.
Genres. Anyway, bye!